Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here. And in today's video, we're going to be breaking down our first ever NBA slate of the season. I am so excited, man, that the NBA is back and to be making NBA content again. We got a little two-game slate for Tuesday night for opening night. Normally every opening night to begin the year, there's always a two-gamer. It's usually two really good games as well. And once again, that's the case for Tuesday night. We got the Nets and the Bucks playing, and then after that, we got the Warriors and the Lakers playing. We got a slate to talk about, man. It's been so long since we've had NBA, but I'm so excited for NBA to be back. I'm excited to be making NBA content again. For those of you that are new here, I appreciate you watching the video. I appreciate you checking out the video. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well. Very important. I'm going to be making NBA content just about every single day. I think the only day I won't be doing NBA is probably on Sundays, especially during football season. Football is going to be my main focus on Sundays, but I'll be making NBA videos Monday through Friday. Might even make videos on Saturdays as well. I'm going to be streaming for NBA too. I'm probably going to go live like an hour or two before lock every day, breaking down the slate with you guys, answering any questions you have. You're going to want to make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you turn on them notifications as well, so that way you get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do live stream. But yeah, guys, let's go ahead and take a look at Tuesday night's little two-game slate. We're going to go team by team, game by game. We'll start off with the first game, Brooklyn-Milwaukee, and we'll start off on the Brooklyn side. So the big news here from Brooklyn is that we know that Kyrie Irving is not going to play for this game, and we don't know when Kyrie's going to play at all for Brooklyn if he does play the rest of the year. So with Kyrie out, obviously, Kevin Durant, James Harden are the two biggest beneficiaries. We saw this at basically last season. Whenever one of these guys was out, these guys like KD, Harden, Kyrie, they didn't play much at all together. I think out of all the games played last year, there wasn't many games where all three of those guys were on the floor at the same time. So we have a pretty big sample size of these guys, or KD and Harden, playing without Kyrie, and we saw it. Whenever Kyrie was off the floor, the usage would be dominated by KD and Harden. KD, he's good. I mean, I don't need to tell you guys to play KD on a two-game slate. I will say that for a two-game slate, there are a lot of studs to go to. There's plenty of pay-up options. I think the Nets guys are probably my two favorites, or they're close to my two favorites. Just because without Kyrie, we know the usage, the offense is going to run through Kevin Durant and James Harden. I think between Durant and Harden, I do slightly give the edge to James Harden just because Harden can do so much with the peripherals. He gives you that triple-double upside, can get you the triple-double bonus on Draftkings. I think we're going to see probably both these guys play like 33 to 34 minutes. We're not going to see massive minutes early on in the season. Normally, you never do. Normally at the beginning of the regular season, these guys will play low to mid-30s. And as the season progresses, the minutes will start to slowly increase. But yeah, I think we're going to get 33, 34 minutes from Harden and Kevin Durant. I think both of them look like really good options here without Kyrie Irving. Milwaukee, they were a good defensive team last year, but they did play really fast. I'm pretty sure last year they played at the second fastest pace in the league. I'm pretty sure this game also does have the highest total between these two games. So yeah, Kevin Durant, James Harden without Kyrie Irving, both of them look like really good options. I think I give the slight edge to Harden, but I definitely like both. And I do want to talk about one of James Harden's props over on Prize Picks. For those of you that may be new here, we are partnered with Prize Picks. If you want to check out Prize Picks, you can do so. Link down below in the description, or just make sure to use promo code Noah when you do sign up for Prize Picks. You'll get your first deposit matched up to $100 over there. Prize Picks is very simple. It's more of a player prop based site. They have points, rebound, assists, three-pointers made. They have all that. They also have fantasy point projections for each player, and very simple. You just pick the over or the under on players' projections. You can win up to 10 extra money on Prize Picks. One pick I do like, talking about James Harden. Right now they have him projected for 8.5 assists. I like over 8.5 assists for Harden, especially with Kyrie Irving out. We should expect James Harden to be the primary ball handler. His assist rate last year was massive. He averaged over 10 assists per game last season. Without Kyrie, the ball's going to be in James Harden's hand a lot. He can easily go over this number, easily can get us 9 assists. So over 8.5 assists, I do like a lot. That's one pick I like for Prize Picks, and then we will talk about two others that I like as well. But over 8.5 assists, I do like that over on Prize Picks. And again, if you guys want to check them out, use promo code Noah when you do sign up for Prize Picks, and you will get your first deposit matched up to $100. But then some of these secondary Brooklyn guys, I didn't really play these guys much at all last season. Now on a two-game slate where we don't really have a ton of options, obviously Joe Harris, Blake Griffin are going to be playable. I assume Joe Harris will be in the starting lineup. I assume Blake Griffin will be in the starting lineup. Right now, the projected starting lineup I'm looking at does have Blake Griffin in there. Blake Griffin did play really, really well last year during the playoffs. He didn't do much during the regular season, but he did kind of turn it on in the playoffs. We saw him play like just at an elite level. I mean, he looked like his old self in the postseason. We'll have to see, if that transitions into this year. I assume Blake Griffin starts, probably plays like 28 to 30 minutes. For 5,400, I think he's fine. I think Joe Harris is fine too. I don't love either one of these guys. They're both priced, I think, correctly, if not a little bit too expensive. Like, even with Kyrie Irving out, Joe Harris really doesn't benefit. All he does is shoot threes, so, you're going to need him to get hot from the floor in order to really put up a ceiling game. He doesn't really get peripherals. He doesn't get rebounds. He doesn't get assists. So you're going to need Joe Harris to go like 8 for 10 from three-pointer or from the three-point line. You're going to need him to put up like 25 real-life points to, put up a score that you have to have at 5,800. I think Joe Harris, Blake Griffin are both priced correctly, if not a little bit too expensive. So I doubt I'm going to have much exposure to them. But we do get some value from this Brooklyn team. I assume Bruce Brown is going to be in the starting lineup in place of Kyrie Irving. Bruce Brown's only 3,600. We've seen in the past whenever Bruce Brown starts, sometimes the minutes can fluctuate, but normally he gets like at least low 20s minutes when he's in the starting lineup, and he's only 3,600. We don't have a ton of great value on this opening night slate. I think Bruce Brown is going to project as probably one of the best values overall. So at 3,600, assuming he starts in place of Kyrie Irving, I like Bruce Brown a lot for value. I think he's one of the better options below 4K. And then you can take a shot on some of these guys coming off the bench, like, Nick Claxton. We'll have to see what they do, now that Aldridge is back with the team. Like, how are they going to split up the center minutes between Griffin, Claxton, Aldridge? Are they going to play these guys alongside each other? Like, we don't really know what Brooklyn's going to do here. I think Nick Claxton, Aldridge are both kind of, viable punt plays coming off the bench. Same with a guy like Patty Mills. Patty Mills, with Brooklyn now, probably gets like maybe 18 to 20 minutes. Like, I don't really have a good guess on his minutes. I'll be interested to see, what the minutes projections do say for Patty Mills when those come out on Tuesday. But yeah, for 3,700, Patty Mills has some upside if he can, knock down threes. But a lot of these bench guys are just kind of, they're riskier options. Starting lineups are going to be really important. Again, I expect KD to start. I expect Harden to start. I expect Joe Harris to start. I think Blake Griffin will start as well, and I assume Bruce Brown starts. If that's the case, then, it's going to make guys like Claxton, Aldridge, even Paul Millsap they have now, like, they just have so many bigs. I mean, they literally have, like, this Brooklyn team has, like, 5 bigs. They have Blake Griffin, they have Claxton, they have Aldridge, they have Millsap. Like, how are they going to divvy up the minutes between those 4 guys? We really just don't know. So they're all riskier options. I would say for me, from Brooklyn, KD and Harden are obviously core plays. Definitely guys you could be building around. And then if you're looking for value, I do like Bruce Brown a lot for value, assuming that he starts. The rest of these Brooklyn guys, I'm not that interested in. But if if things change, if they decide to start like Claxton instead of Griffin, or they decide to start Aldridge instead of Griffin, then yeah, Claxton, Aldridge would become viable value plays if they wind up in the starting lineup. But that's news we don't really have right now. Starting lineups will probably come out sometime closer to tip off. That's just something we're gonna have to pay attention to as the day goes on Tuesday. We got to use the information that we have available right now. It's the beginning of the season. We don't really know what teams are going to do with the rotation, with their starting lineups. So we just kind of have to pay attention to that, during the day, Tuesday, see what the starting lineups look like, and then kind of go from there. But moving on to the Milwaukee side and talking about the Bucks. So the Bucks are pretty much, they're close to the same team they were last year. They didn't change too much during the offseason. They did add Grayson Allen, and right now it looks like Grayson Allen could be the starting shooting guard heading into this beginning of the year because Dante DiVincenzo is still out. We will talk about him for value as well, but Giannis at 10K. Giannis is obviously a very, very good option here. I mean, we know what Giannis is going to do when he's on the court. I mean, he's going to play probably 35, 36 minutes, maybe a little bit less. He's obviously going to have a very, very high usage rate. He's going to average probably 1.7, 1.8 fantasy points per minute. I mean, he's super productive when he's on the floor. He is a little bit more expensive than KD and then James Harden, so I do give the slight edge to those guys over Giannis, but I would say Giannis is a top stud as well on the slate, and if you're playing a lot of lineups, I think you're going to just want to be mixing and matching all these studs that we're going to talk about. Giannis is probably my third favorite stud behind Harden and behind KD. Then you got Chris Middleton at 7,200. Chris Middleton, in the postseason was someone that I did play a good amount just because just because, we were so limited with our options. It was always a short slate. Obviously, on a 2-game slate like this, Chris Middleton is someone you can go to. I will say that, when Giannis is healthy, when Drew's healthy, when Middleton's healthy, like, you just never know what you're going to get from Middleton and Drew. Giannis is going to produce on a nightly basis, but, Drew and Middleton are definitely wild cards. Between the two, I think I would prefer Drew Holiday at 7K. I don't really have a strong lean between the two. They both average close to around the same fantasy points per minute. They're both going to play similar minutes. I think Drew gives you just a little bit more upside. I do slightly prefer him over Middleton, but Middleton and Drew are both fine mid-range options. Brook Lopez at 5,900, another guy that just feels like a little bit too expensive for my liking. The center position is not great. There's not a ton of viable centers that I love. You can obviously play Giannis at center. You could play Anthony Davis at center or Draymond, but there's not much value at center. Again, we're going to have to see what starting lineups look like. Kevon Looney might start, so maybe he could be like a viable cheap center option. I think with how thin the center position is, like, that makes Brook Lopez playable, but 5,900, he does feel a bit overpriced. Brook Lopez doesn't really offer much upside. We've kind of seen that, throughout the year. Just when the team's fully healthy, you're going to get probably 30 minutes from Brook Lopez. Most nights he's going to probably average like 22 to 24 DK points. And at 5,900, like, that's just not good enough. I think Brook Lopez, a little bit too expensive for my liking. Pat Connaughton, without Dante DiVincenzo, they could start him here, although I do expect it to be Grayson Allen. We could maybe see Connaughton move into the starting lineup. If Connaughton starts, he could be a viable cheap option, 4,700. If he comes off the bench, makes him a lot more riskier. He's kind of priced appropriately. Like, the salaries here, it looks like DraftKings is just kind of using salaries from from the playoffs from last year. So Connaughton did play pretty well during the postseason. He did get a good amount of minutes off the bench during the playoffs, but now I think things are going to change a little bit during the regular season. I do still expect Connaughton to play probably like mid-20s minutes off the bench, but at 4,700, I think he's priced correctly, if not a little bit too expensive. I don't think I'm going to have much exposure to Pat Connaughton. And then the one value play I want to talk about is Grayson Allen. Right now, it looks like Grayson Allen is going to be the starting shooting guard. He is going to start in place of DiVincenzo. At least that's what people are, expecting. That's what, the projected starting lineup that I'm looking at is Allen in there. Grayson Allen has never really been much of a high upside option. When he was at Memphis or when he was with the Grizzlies, I rarely played Grayson Allen, even when he would start, just because, he doesn't really offer much upside. But now he's in a totally different offense. He's with the Bucks. This Bucks team should be able to space the floor. Grayson Allen should be able to get some open threes playing alongside Giannis. Obviously, Giannis, Drew, Middleton, those guys are going to demand a lot of usage. I don't think Grayson Allen's going to get a ton of opportunity, but I think when he does get open threes, they're going to be open, because this Bucks team is going to be able to space the floor very, very easily. For only 3,800, I think Grayson Allen, assuming he's in the starting lineup, he's a decent value play. Again, value's not great, so I am looking to someone like Grayson Allen, and I do want to talk about his prop over on PrizePicks as well. So currently, they only have him projected for 9.5 points. If we expect Grayson Allen to get maybe 4 to 5 open threes, if he can knock down a couple of those, he could easily go over 9.5 points. I'm expecting him to play at least like mid-20s minutes. He might even get close to 30 minutes, assuming he's in the starting lineup. For only 9.5 points, I think he can go over that for sure if he is in the starting lineup. That is something we're probably going to want to try and confirm. But if Grayson Allen starts, I like over 9.5 points. Another pick that you can take on PrizePicks that I like for this game. And the rest of these Bucks guys, just dart throws. Like George Hill probably plays like 12 to 15 minutes for 3,900. He's all right, I guess. Jordan Nwora was really, really good during the preseason. We don't really know if he's going to be a stable part of the rotation, though, during the regular season. He was really not in the rotation at all last year. The only time he got to play was like whenever Giannis and everyone was out. I know one game when everyone was out, like Nwora went off and had a massive game. But now that everyone's healthy, with Drew, Middleton, Giannis all healthy, how many minutes does Jordan Nwora get? Is he going to be a consistent part of the rotation? Like, we don't really know. He's only 3K though, and he has shown some upside when he does get minutes. I will be interested to see if there is a minutes projection for Nwora when those come out, like if he is projected to get any minutes. For only 3K though, I think he's worth taking a shot on if you want to go for like a cheap dart throw that probably gets no ownership at all. I don't mind him at 3K. Just know that, there's no guarantee he gets minutes. I think coming off the bench, you'll see Pat Connaughton, George Hill, Rodney Hood probably get minutes. I don't know, after that, maybe Thanasis gets some minutes. But then, they probably do give Nwora some playing time, especially with how well he played during the preseason. So he is worthy, I think, of a viable like punt option. He is someone that I would have in my player pool if I was playing like a lot of lineups on this slate. But that does it for this game. I think we can go ahead and talk about the next game, the Warriors and the Lakers. We'll start off on the Warriors side. So Steph Curry, 9,400. Another really good pay-up option on the slate. Nothing negative to say about Steph Curry. When Curry was healthy last year, he was a fantasy monster. High usage rate. He played big minutes on a nightly basis. I assume Curry, even to start the year, will probably still play like mid-30s minutes. We know what Curry can do. He's obviously an elite scorer. The peripherals are not as good for Curry. Like, he doesn't get double-digit rebounds. He doesn't get double-digit assists like James Harden can. So I think that's why I do slightly prefer Harden over Curry. But Curry's definitely someone you can look to at 9,400. He should still dominate the usage for this Warriors team, especially, while Klay Thompson's out. The Warriors are basically the same team they were last year. I think the only changes they made were they added Otto Porter, and that's really it. Like, they didn't make too many changes during the offseason. So I think Curry is a good option for sure. He would probably be like fourth for me on the slate behind the two Nets guys, and then Giannis. He'd probably be my fourth favorite stud. Draymond Green, I think, is a good mid-range option at 6,800. We did get a report that Draymond's going to be like on a lights minutes restriction. They said they're going to play him like low 30s minutes. I'm not looking too much into that. I think Draymond's going to play enough minutes to where he is playable at 6,800. Draymond was up and down last year, but we know what he can do when he gets the minutes. He can obviously contribute in all categories. He's one of these guys that does give you triple-double upside. He doesn't need to score 25 points to put up a big game because he can get you 12 assists. He can get 14 rebounds. At 6,800, that is definitely cheap for Draymond, in my opinion. I do like Draymond a good amount. He might be one of my favorite plays overall from this Golden State team. When you factor in price point, I think he looks like a really good power forward option. Andrew Wiggins, God, I barely played Andrew Wiggins last year. I don't think I'm going to go to him on this slate, even though it's a two-gamer. There's just too many other guys. Like, I'd rather get up to Drew Holiday. I'd rather get up to Middleton. I'd rather play Draymond. Wiggins just, he's priced kind of in no man's land. Not a ton of interest in Andrew Wiggins. Otto Porter, I assume, comes off the bench. For 5,300, it's going to be tough to predict like how many minutes he really gets with this Warriors team. I assume he'll be a stable part of the rotation. I assume he'll probably see like low 20s minutes on a nightly basis. I don't think he plays enough, though, to be worthy of rostering at 5,300. Like, for Otto Porter to be a guy you have to have at this price point, he's probably going to have to play at least like 25 minutes, or he's going to just have to be super, super productive when he's on the floor. I think he's priced expensive enough to where I don't have too much interest in Otto Porter. Jordan Poole, I think, will be a very popular value play. Jordan Poole is expected to be in the starting lineup, come Tuesday night. He's expected to start as shooting guard. He was awesome during the preseason. I didn't pay too much attention during the preseason, but I know Jordan Poole did play very well, and he did play really well last year when he was able to get opportunity. I assume he'll get probably high 20s, low 30s minutes. For only 4,800, yeah, Jordan Poole is a really good value play. He is definitely underpriced. I would say that, for most of the regular season, Jordan Poole is probably going to be like 5,500, closer to 6K. We are getting a pretty good discount on him. So I do like Jordan Poole for value. I think he's a really good option. Kevon Looney, probably going to start for Golden State. Kevon Looney was someone that I rarely ever played, even when he was in the starting lineup. Even when Looney would start, he would at most play like 22, 24 minutes. He's also one of these guys that just doesn't really offer much upside. We've seen a ton of times Kevon Looney somehow, he'll get like 30 minutes just out of nowhere, and he'll still only put up like 18 Draftkings points. I'm kind of fine just getting off of Kevon Looney. He's not someone that I really ever play. I don't think I have much interest in him on this slate. I'd rather play, Bruce Brown. I'd rather play Jordan Poole. I'd rather go to like even, if Aldridge or Claxton, if one of those guys winds up starting, I would rather play them too. I think Looney might be a popular value play just because he will probably start. But again, we've seen, even when Looney starts, he still doesn't offer much upside. So not much interest in him. And then the rest of the bench guys, you can throw darts on these guys. Like Juan Toscano-Anderson showed some upside last season when he got the opportunity. But, now that they have Otto Porter, now they have Iguodala, now they have Bielitsa as well. Like, how many minutes does Juan Toscano-Anderson actually play? Probably, only like 15 to 20, if that. He's a riskier option. The rest of these bench guys are pretty risky as well. Andre Iguodala, now that he's back with the Warriors, we'll have to see, what his role is, how many minutes he's going to see in this rotation. He was productive when he was with Golden State, at least for a decent amount of time. When he was with Miami, last year, he didn't show too much upside. If you want to go with him, or if you want to go to him for value at 3,500, hope he gets like 22, 24 minutes. That's fine, but none of these bench guys from Golden State I have much confidence in. I'm kind of just, you got to pay attention to starting lineups. Starting lineups are going to be super, super important on these, opening night slates. And, assuming the starting lineup is what I expect it to be, it's going to be tough to go to some of these bench guys just because the minutes are going to be so hard to predict, especially with it being, early on in the season. I don't have any confidence in anyone coming off the bench, but if you want to take shots on these guys in tournaments, I mean, it wouldn't be a surprise if a winning tournament lineup had an Iguodala in it or a Juan Toscano-Anderson in it. But I think we can go ahead and talk about the Lakers, and then we can close out this video. So on the Lakers, this is going to be a very interesting team to just kind of watch this year with Russell Westbrook now on the team. How is that going to affect LeBron James' fantasy upside, his fantasy value? How is it going to affect Anthony Davis as well? All these Lakers guys are coming in really nicely priced. Like if you look at the stud pricing on the slate, LeBron, AD, Westbrook, they're all cheaper than the rest of the studs. That makes them worthy of rostering, I guess, but they are definitely towards the bottom of my list when you look at the studs on the slate. We just don't really know how the usage is going to go with LeBron and Westbrook playing alongside each other. Is LeBron going to be a ball-dominant player this year? Probably not. Is Westbrook going to be the guy that has the ball in his hands? I would think so. In terms of assists, I think LeBron's assist numbers might take a little bit of a hit this year. He should still do decent with rebounds, though. His rebounding numbers might take a hit, too, because, Westbrook is a very good rebounding guard. At 9K, LeBron's always someone that you can go to, but I would probably prefer, KD and Harden, especially since those guys are playing without Kyrie. I would probably prefer Steph as well because Steph is just getting all the usage on this Golden State team. And then the rest of these studs, I mean, yeah, you could go to LeBron. He's probably my favorite Laker. I would say, like, if I have to choose a Laker to play, a stud Laker between LeBron, AD, or Westbrook, I think LeBron is probably my favorite. AD at 8,800. Look, AD is one of my favorite players. Love this dude, but on this slate, I don't think I can get to, or I don't think AD is going to be like a part of my core. I expect to have more exposure to Giannis, to Curry, to Harden, to Kevin Durant as well. But AD at 8,800, you could always look to. AD, we know, has massive upside. I think his rebounding numbers, maybe take a hit playing alongside Westbrook this year, but he should still be able to dominate in the paint. He still is someone you can go to at 8,800. And then Westbrook is the one, wild card. I just have no idea how Westbrook's going to look with this Lakers team. I don't expect him to be nearly as productive in fantasy as he has been in previous seasons with the Wizards, with the Thunder. I mean, if we ever got Westbrook at 8,600, last year or years before that, I mean, he would just be like a stone cold lock. But on this Lakers team at 8,600, that feels probably priced right. Like I would say, during the preseason, Westbrook didn't look that great. I didn't watch much during the preseason, but one of his games, he only had 10 points. He wasn't, shooting the ball that well. I think the peripherals are going to be there for Westbrook. He's someone that can get, he's going to get rebounds and assists every single night. Is he going to get enough shot attempts, though? Is he going to get enough shot volume to where he can put up like a massive 55, 60-point game? I just don't know. He's playing alongside two high-usage guys in LeBron and AD. Westbrook's a riskier option. I think he's going to be one of the lowest-owned studs on the slate. So for that reason, you could definitely go to Westbrook. But he's probably my third favorite Laker. I would probably rank the Lakers how they're priced. LeBron being number one for me, just because I think he's the safest. And then AD 2, Westbrook 3. And then the rest of these Lakers, man, I mean, they're all cheap. No other Laker is above 5K in terms of pricing. But I just have no idea what the minutes are going to look like. So we have no idea what the starting lineup's going to look like. Obviously, we expect LeBron, AD, Westbrook to all start. But then, does Malik Monk start? Does, Carmelo Anthony start? Do they go big and start like DeAndre Jordan or Dwight Howard? We just have no idea what the starting lineup's going to look like for the Lakers. I think whatever the starting lineup looks like, that's going to be very important. Just because, the minutes are going to be tough to predict for this team. They have so many guys that, could get minutes. Malik Monk, whether he starts or comes off the bench, is someone that does offer some upside. We've seen Malik Monk can get hot from three-point land. He should get plenty of opportunity. This Lakers offense should be another team in terms of spacing, especially if LeBron's on the floor. LeBron should be able to get Malik Monk some open three-point attempts. We know LeBron draws so much attention from the from the opposing defense that it allows for these guys like Malik Monk, Wayne Ellington, these three-point shooters to get open three-point attempts. It's just a matter of if they can make them or not. For 4,500, I think Malik Monk's a viable, dart throw, a GPP option. Dwight Howard, I'm only going to go to if he starts. If Dwight Howard comes off the bench, he's just too expensive at 4,900 to be worth rostering. I assume he'll be splitting minutes with DeAndre Jordan anyway. If DeAndre Jordan starts, then at 3,800, he could be someone you go to for value. He's super cheap. DeAndre Jordan, when he does get minutes, can be productive. He can get you a double-double if he plays 20 minutes. I'd probably only go to him if he's starting, but for 3,800, he's someone you could look to. I think Carmelo Anthony is going to be someone that consistently gets minutes in this Lakers rotation. I think he's going to be probably the easiest guy to predict when it comes to minutes. I think whether he starts or comes off the bench, we should probably get like 22, 24 minutes from Carmelo. And if he does wind up starting, then maybe you see like 28 to 30 minutes. He is probably the guy that I feel the best about. Like out of all these Lakers values, out of all these Laker bench guys, I think Carmelo is the one that I have the most confidence in, just because I think his minutes will consistently be there on a nightly basis. So at 3,900, I do have a good amount of interest in Carmelo Anthony. Kendrick Nunn, he showed upside when he was with Miami on this Lakers team. What's his upside? It's probably a bit limited. How much is he going to play alongside LeBron? How much is he going to play alongside Westbrook? Does he play alongside those guys at all? Like, do they just let Kendrick Nunn be the backup point guard? We don't really know. He's a dart throw. He's fine, but again, like they have this Lakers team, man, they just have so many, like they have so many guys. They have Rondo, they have Monk, they have Kendrick Nunn. Like, how are they going to split up the minutes between all these guards? Like, we just have no idea. So these guys are all kind of riskier options. The one value play besides Carmelo that I do have a lot of interest in is Kent Bazemore. I think Kent Bazemore is probably going to be in the starting lineup. I think most likely scenario is that you see Russell Westbrook, Kent Bazemore, LeBron, AD start. And then do they decide to go with, DeAndre Jordan or Dwight Howard? Do they decide to play AD at center and then maybe start like Carmelo? Like, we just don't know. But I think Kent Bazemore is pretty likely to be in the starting lineup, especially since Talen Horton-Tucker is out, plus Wayne Ellington is out as well. I think Wayne Ellington was a likely candidate to start, but now that he's out, I think Kent Bazemore is the most likely guy to replace him in the starting lineup. And for 3,600, we're getting a guy at a super cheap price point. The minutes I would assume are probably going to be in the like mid to high 20s for only 3,600 in a pace up spot against the Warriors. The Warriors were a very, very fast paced team last year. They were third in pace last season. They were first in pace during the preseason. So yeah, this Warriors team should be very fast paced once again this year. Definitely a good spot for these Lakers guys. I think 3,600. Kent Bazemore is probably my favorite value out of all the Lakers. Just the cheap options, but that really does it, man. Again, like all these bench guys from the Lakers are playable, but I have no confidence in any of them. Like, if I can't come on here and say like, oh yeah, this guy's going to get the most minutes, this guy's going to play. I just have no idea. We're guessing when it comes to minutes early on in the season. But Malik Monk, Kendrick Nunn, Carmelo, these are guys you can go to in tournaments. But the starting lineup is going to be very important for the Lakers, just because once we get a starting lineup, then we'll kind of know where the minutes are going, how we can kind of project the minutes after that. But that does it for this slate, guys. I think, we kind of covered everything. I do want to hop back over to Prize Picks. One more pick I do like. We just talked about Kent Bazemore and how I do have a good amount of interest in him. I think it's likely he moves into the starting lineup. Right now, he only is projected for 19 fantasy points. Kent Bazemore, how many fantasy points per minute is he going to average on this Lakers team? We don't really know, but I think if he does wind up starting here, he's probably going to get like 26, 28 minutes, and I think that's enough to where he can easily go over 19 fantasy points. So that is one more pick I do like over on Prize Picks for tonight's opening night slate for these two games. And again, if you guys want to check out Prize Picks, you can use promo code Noah. When you sign up over there, you'll get your first deposit match up to $100, and you can check out all the props, all the props and projections they have listed for tonight's slate, and you can kind of make some picks for yourself. But just make sure you use that promo code Noah, so that way you do get that deposit bonus. But again, I appreciate you guys watching the video, man. I'm so excited the NBA season's back. It was excited to talk through some NBA again. Again, we'll be live streaming probably a couple hours before lock on Tuesday night. Probably go live around 5:30 or 6 o'clock Eastern. Appreciate you guys would tune into the stream. If you have any questions you need answered, I can always answer those in the live stream. But best of luck on this slate, guys. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and we will see you in the next video. Good luck on the slate, guys.